Today I want to talk to you about Mosaic Mania. Mosaic Mania is a project that I facilitate through the Holmes Theater. It's in its 5th year, and this time of year, right around December, Christmas time, is when it's really kicking off, and it goes all the way until the Park Fest in April. And it has done just so many things for the kids of our region. Businesses have really pitched in and helped sponsoring them, both on a local level and even a national level. We actually get all of our glass donated. We have a local trucking company that hauls it for free. All of the little 5x5s that I will talk a little bit more about in a few minutes, that's all glass that's kind of a byproduct. It's left over from glass companies replacing windows that they save for us instead of putting in the landfill. And then just the creativity of our kids has grown and grown and grown over the years. So every year I kind of go into it thinking, maybe this should be the last year, and by the end of it, I'm rejuvenated with all of the enthusiasm by our local kids and parents and businesses. So I wanted to kind of go over, there's a lot involved with Mosaic Mania, and I don't know if the general public is aware of that. In addition to all those large windows that you see that get auctioned off every year, the kids actually get to make a small 5x5 inch mosaic. And I put this one together last night. This is kind of their creative outlet. You would be surprised at how creative on this tiny little canvas these kids can get. I've seen palm trees with flip-flops and beach scenes and everything real intricate as they get better as the years go on to very simple like a heart. And sometimes the simple is the best. If you can do a successful project being very simple, I encourage kids to do that. We don't always need to have a very elaborate project. And now we're to the point where I have parents calling me going, I have 4 or 5 of these from my child. Can we do something to put them all together in the window because we just love them? So that's been fun to see too. So the steps to those little mosaics, the first step is we get glass all in different shapes and we cut it down to this 5-inch by 5-inch size. And then I have myself or my family or a great volunteer, Max as known in the community, to sit and frame these. And on average, every year we touch about 2,000 to 2,500 kids of these that get put together. So that's pretty amazing. The kids, when we start, they come in, they get a piece of glass, they get a Sharpie marker, piece of paper as well, and they're told to draw a design, a simple design, an elaborate design, but something that they feel they can accomplish in that hour and a half. So to do a simple one would be a Sharpie or a heart. Just draw that with their Sharpie marker, write their name nice and big. Sometimes we put a teacher's name on it. And the next step is they're told to flip it over. This is actually the hardest step for 3rd through 6th grade. Flip it over. The reason being is because if we draw on one side and glue on the other side, when they get that back, they can erase that Sharpie marker. So if your child or grandchild has come home with the palm tree and you say, how did you do that? And they say it's an artist's secret. That's because that's what I've told them to say. The next step is they have an array of glass that we'll get a shot of here in a little bit. But they're told to start with their design and start by outlining it. So they go around the edge. This glue is called Weld Bond. It can be found locally either through me or through our hardware store. And they're just told to start outlining the edge, trying to make those outer edges as smooth as possible, fitting those glass pieces together as tightly as they can. Contrary to popular belief where we think we need to leave a gap for the grout, that grout will work its way down into those cracks and crevices. So they just go around trying to fit it together as best they can, a lot like a puzzle. They would complete the outside, then they would do the inner, and then the outer color. They're told they can use as many colors as they want, but again, with the keep it simple method, if they use just a few, you can definitely see what the goal is in the end. After that's done, during that time frame, of course, they're working in small groups on that large window. We call them over in groups of 4 or 5 at a time to work on that larger window that eventually gets auctioned. After the class is done, I take everything back. I take all the glass, I take the little ones back, and I take the big ones back. And we have a group of grandmas, they call themselves the Grouting grandmas, that come into the Holmes Theater and grout all of these crazy projects. Again, all the little ones, 2,000 to 2,500 every year, and then all of the large ones. And we usually end up with between 50 and 60 large projects every year. So I thought I'd give you a little taste of the grout as well. This is a project that I did as a group project with the Crisis Center a few weeks ago. This is actually on a storm window. Usually you're used to seeing them on a wood-framed window sash. But we did this one on the storm window. And grouting is regular old tile grout that you would use if you were redoing your floor or your bathroom. We mix it up a little bit thin. The gloves help save the hands from getting too dried out. And it's really just smearing it in. Trying to get all the cracks and crevices, working your way along the edge. Very dedicated group of gals and gents that help with this project. We certainly would not be in our 5th year of doing this if it was just all left up to myself and the other people that I work with. It's just very, very time consuming. So oftentimes while I'm out in schools, the grouting grandmas and grandpas are back at the theater grouting away. When they grout those little projects, they grout them a class at a time in attempts to keep them from getting mixed up. But that's why that teacher name or that class code is so important on the windows. The big designs, I get asked where I come up with those, if the kids have any input into those. They certainly can. If they're working on something in school, a certain project, ladybugs or a flower or something in science class, I'm always open to suggestions for patterns. But we don't come up with it the day of. I get that all drawn out and prepped with all the glass colors. Sometimes I'll give a choice if we're doing like a flower, a tulip, let's say. I might say, do we want to do red flowers or yellow flowers or orange flowers? And we can make that choice on the fly. But it would be much too hard to try to, prep for every situation. So there is a little bit more prep work involved in those big ones than the little ones, as far as decisions ahead of time. I've also taken ideas from businesses. Parents have called in. Every year we get a few calls that says, hey, there's windows sitting out by such and such a house, or we're replacing windows, do you want them? That's always much appreciated too. It really is a community effort. So after there's grout on all of those, we would let it sit for a while. And then we usually use paper towels, but since I did not grab any, I will just show you. The few steps to removing the grout is you go along first and clean it up, kind of get the rough edges off. Garbage cans are handy. You don't ever want to take grout and go to your kitchen sink and just wash it off. The plumbers will be happy because they get to come out and fix your pipes, but it will harden in your pipes. It's essentially a cement. So if it's left in those pipes, it will harden. So we always get as much off. The projects, I guess, we never take to the sink, but even your hands, you try to get as much off as you possibly can. So with that, we would let these sit for a little bit longer and dry again. They get buffed another 2 or 3 times. The big ones get set aside and hooks put on them for auction, and the little ones get returned to the classroom in time for the end of the school year. If you're interested in Mosaic Mania or getting involved in this project, we'd love to have your help, and you can contact us at the Holmes Theater.